All right. Well, it is the last day of the year, and I am here, your host, Amos Wellington, with I Represent the 2%. And in the house today, we have our main man from Corona, Coach Jimmy Bowers. Um, Coach was just telling me before we came on, before we press record, we gotta get going, get loose, get everything right, make sure we're on point with the things that we want to discuss. And the start of the genesis of this conversation was, a brief seasonal relationship that we had back in 2017, and we'll get to that at some point in your story. But Coach, if you'd take a moment and just introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers today, and go right ahead. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm Jim Bowers, the head coach at Corona High School, um, coaching there, taking over the program since 2012. This is my 30th year coaching. So 38 years coaching altogether, about 21 years coaching girls, but probably 30 years we could say, coaching girls since I had girls on my program, but it wasn't sanctioned. So I started our girls team back in 2012 when CIF sanctioned girls wrestling, right on.
Yeah.
And ever
Absolutely.
since then, we've done well, man. We've had a ton of state placers, national placers.
Yeah.
Currently have about 14 girls in college right now on scholarship.
Fantastic.
And hopefully we have another 9 more going this year. One already signed, and a bunch of we were state runner-ups in 2017 and CIF runner-ups in 16 and 18, and then top five. We've been top five in the state like 6 years in a row up until last year. Last year we were top 8. So that's it. That's a little bit.
Well, that's a great start. And first, on behalf of the citizens of the city of Corona, thank you for what you've been doing for their sons and daughters and the young men and women that you've produced or assisted in the producing in that community for these 30 years. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for that service. We were talking just before we got started about the way you kind of fell into it, so to speak. It wasn't like you weren't hired. It wasn't your goal in life to be this big time wrestling coach at Corona High School, but an opportunity came, and it came in concert with your children getting to high school. And if you talk a little bit about that, that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? As far as taking over the program, I actually started in 2008 helping with my older kids. So when they joined wrestling, I was just their technique coach. And that's only because I couldn't really commit because I was in the corporate world. I was a corporate guy, for over 20 years. So, that was my lifestyle. I did the wrestling. I did wrestling, coaching wrestling, did privates over the years and coached different high schools, help assistant, because it's my passion. Because at the end of the day, what a lot of people don't know, other than my wrestlers and their parents, that wrestling saved my life.
Mm.
Back when I was in high school, I needed wrestling to help pay for my school to get my degree because we're a low-income family.
Okay.
And if it wasn't me getting a Division I scholarship, Cal State Fullerton, I wouldn't have got my degree.
Mm.
I wouldn't have got my degree. So I have so much passion. Like I know when you were mentioning earlier off the video, how crazy I am and how passionate I am. Yes, I coach with passion because I want to give these kids what they deserve now, what they need as far as a coach. I coach with everything I have. And
Yes.
I'm not for everybody, right? I've had kids, come and go because I put a lot of pressure, not on them to win, because I don't believe in it, that success is defined by wins and losses, but it's basically, how you carry yourself and how you conquer obstacles. So taking over this program, when I had the opportunity, even though they called me a bunch in my office saying, "Hey, Bowers, can you please take over this program?" And the coach went to football. I couldn't let the kids down, and I haven't looked back since as far as being at Corona, even though I had opportunity to coach at many different schools with very awesome coaches, very successful head coaches as well. So learning from that, seeing all their successes and all the kids that I've been able to play a small part in their success, guided me this way. So I knew it was God's plan. My wife and I talk about all the time. Wrestling is literally my sanctuary. That's what it is. So as a matter of fact, one of my parents just posted on Facebook and tagged me talking about, you never really know how much these kids need the program, right? And you know what? It goes both ways, because I need these kids just as much as they need me, because like I said, it saved my life. And if it wasn't for me getting my degree, I wouldn't be able to be as successful as it was in the corporate world until that was no more. So, but that's how I ended up here at Corona, and never looked back. And fortunately, knock on wood, we've had a lot of success, and we continue to have success, and kids want to be part of that success, and I've been blessed. Like I said, they make me look good. I don't, now it's just me giving them the tools, and they believe in the process. They believe in what needs to be done, and they make it happen.
Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You talk about the kid that needed the program, or the kids that need the program more than the program needs them. I was one of those guys. As a heavyset kid, I was in ninth grade. I think I was somewhere around 215 pounds. And then I saw Chris Zorich at Notre Dame, number 50, nose tackle, cut off jersey, 20-inch arms, 30-inch thighs, right? And I'm sitting here, and they said he was 5'10", like me, and he was 285 pounds. And I was like, oh, okay, be 285 like Chris Zorich, and you'll dominate. I didn't know Chris Zorich was running a 4'8", that he was benching 500 pounds, that he was squatting, 6-something, overhead, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, you guys didn't communicate all of that stuff to me. Why didn't you, share a little bit more? And, at a point, I played a year community college football, and at a point I was like, man, look, USC is not calling me. John Robinson doesn't know my name. Terry Donahue doesn't know my name. And I need to spend a little more time over here in this classroom. So, for me, I made that shift at 19 years old. And a couple of years later, I just kind of fell in. My brother was going to the same high school. I had, all of this normal practice time that I'd had the previous 5 or 6 years. And I was like, well, you're going to play football? He's like, yeah. And I said, okay, well, I'll come out there, just help you out a little bit and blah, blah, blah. And you only have 3 coaches. I mean, you can't coach varsity and JV with that many people. And so they said, hey, man, you're here all the time. You want to help us out? And I was like, help you out what? And they're like, coach. And I was like, coach what? And they're like, football. I said, okay, well, all right, I guess I can, do something. And, 26, falls and springs later, here we are. Well, coach, you shared, and I've seen it a couple other places. It's gotten, I don't know who wrote it originally, but somebody shared this post the other day, and I mean, you shared it, and just yesterday, and I want to read a little bit of it for our listening audience. And you guys excuse me for looking down as I read, and actually I'll hold it up here. It says, high school sports are in serious trouble. Our student athletes are suffering. Travel, AAU, personal trainers, coaches continue, but we are losing the be true to your school mentality. When you cancel sports, you don't just cancel opportunities to compete. When you cancel sports, you cancel the 15 minutes before practice, when everyone is in that transition mode from class to training. That's where you see kids at their most honest. When you cancel sports, you cancel that 6 a.m. training time when an athlete is around an adult that they know cares about them. When you cancel sports, you cancel an athlete's motivation to eat healthy. Cancel sports, you cancel goal-oriented kids' desire to work on a training plan. When you cancel sports, you cancel some students' reason to go to school at all. When you cancel sports, you cancel common ground for parents and their children. And it goes on for a couple more minutes about all of the connections that are lost, student to student.
Yes.
Student to, adult that's there for them and there for their success and there for the community. Like a man like yourself working in corporate America, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to come over here, give that time, in the afternoons or split your day between, okay, work, come up here, show these girls how to shoot, head back, okay, circle around, get your two, you didn't have to do that. Can you talk a little bit about your motivation to dive in, and then, how do we recover from, this gap year, so to speak, or this gap period, not knowing exactly how long we're going to be out and away from what we love and know.
Well, just like that post said, there's so many reasons why athletically why kids, even go to school, right? Because I remember when I was a good student, but I was also a little wild kid too. And sports, I was a 4-sport athlete, so I played football, baseball, wrestling, and track. Mm-hmm. And I did it initially just to keep me out of trouble, right? But then I realized I was doing it for my life, like many other kids do.
Yes.
I grew up in El Monte, which is like a smaller version of East LA, because we started in East LA first, and then we moved to Baldwin Park, El Monte area.
Okay.
And I know that these kids need guidance. They need discipline. They need, we're not just coaches. Like I've seen some people post stuff like, you're a coach, you're their psychiatrist, you're their mentor, you're their father figure, and like when I have meetings with my parents, I tell them straight up, man, these are like my kids. I'm going to treat them like my kids.
Yes.
And the reason, like, especially, my boys and girls are both pretty successful, but the reason the girls were even more successful is because they appreciated the toughness, that I didn't cut them any slack. I didn't treat them like girls. I treated them like athletes.
Yes.
I treated them and I trained them hard, and I didn't let them give me any excuses. And we don't care what our problems are. This is the spot where you don't have to worry about anything else except what you control, what you can do to get better.
That's right.
And I give everything to them because I saw how it impacted me. Like I said, I wrestled for my life, and I had to realize if I don't go to school and get my school paid for, I'm not going to be able to go to school. Yeah. So before I actually got a call from Coach Lewis at Cal State Fullerton about attending, I actually enlisted in the Air Force because I got hurt my senior year. And so I didn't think, okay, nobody's going to want me. I'm damaged goods, no biggie. Mm-hmm. Pretty distraught about it because, it is what it is. But like I said, I was pretty smart, took the ASVAB, qualified for the Air Force. And literally 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, Coach Lewis calls me, right? Mm-hmm. And said, let's make this happen. So I looked at my mom like, what do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. I'm supposed to leave in 2 weeks? And she's like, no, I want you to go to school first.
Nice.
So we ended up calling our staff sergeant, making that happen. And then, there's a reason why, right? We say God has a plan, man. There's a reason why all these things happen. So
yes.
To fast forward, I'm doing all this and I see all these kids and they all have a story, right? Yes. What people don't understand, man, is they all have a story and not everybody's the same. I don't care, but I've been through it all. Me and my brothers and sisters, we all had been through where life told us we weren't supposed to succeed, and we did. The stereotypical things that the area we came from, how we looked, etc. We weren't supposed to succeed, but we did.
Yes.
So I teach these kids now. I want to be able to teach them that no matter what happens in this wrestling world, this is going to teach you all the life lessons, right? Yeah, you don't have to like me as a coach. I might be mean. You might think I'm the mean guy, but you know what? When you have a job and you need to provide for your family,
That's right.
and you got a mean boss, what are you going to do? You're going to say, screw it. I don't need to work. I'm not going to feed my family. No.
Yeah, I quit. I don't need to live indoors. I quit.
Right. You're going to figure out
I don't need to eat. I don't need to eat every day. I quit.
Exactly. So it teaches you that. You're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with this. So I tell them, you get through this, you get through 1 year of my program, especially, I tell them, you can get through anything after that, because you're going to be like, oh man, this is a piece of cake. And if I could save one kid a year, it was all worth it. You know, like I even tell the kids at practice, man, I don't care if one kid shows up, I will be there for you.
That's right.
Fortunately, knock on wood, that doesn't happen with us. You know, we got a pretty big squad, but I don't care. Even if it's, I mean, there was times where I was giving my kids a day off, and I think it was because I needed the day off, right? Because we're working hard. And no, my phone's blowing up, coach. No, we need to keep it going. We need to, you know, and I appreciate that, because they trust the process so much. They need that guidance. They need that authority figure. It's different than your parents yelling at you than a coach, you know? So, you know, I appreciate that, and I take that to heart. And that's why, like, especially like the girls, they laugh at me because at banquets I get a little emotional, right? Because we've been through a lot this 1 year, but I pour my heart and soul into giving back to these kids because they deserve it. Because at the end of the day, it's about these kids, right? That's all it's about. I don't need to win any more matches. I don't need any more medals or trophies. I don't care. I want these kids that no matter what happens when they finish that match or tournament, that they feel good about themselves, that they get everything, they did everything they could. And I even tell them, I said, look, how many kids you see me chew out even when they win? A lot, right? Because they could have done better. And then how many kids you see me hug when they just got their butt whipped? But I know they wrestled their heart out and they gave me 100%. That's what matters. It's how you compete. And that's why when I say I coach with passion, I mean, there's been parents that hit up my kids in the hallway and say, how could you wrestle for that guy? He's crazy, right? And you know what the kids say? And this is the girls coming to me and telling me, they're saying, you know what? Because he cares about us. You know, and that, you know, I think maybe it's my old age. I get real sensitive about that, but I'm just like, they know I can be hard on them, and I can get in their ass about things and push them, because they know that I care, and that's what matters. And it's unfortunate that not all kids are afforded that in their programs, right? There's many, it's very unfortunate that many are in it for themselves and their own agendas, their own little, check marks, you know, to say it's about me. It's not even about me, man. I don't care if they don't mention me at all about anything. I want just take care of my kids, you know, because they deserve it. So whenever kids come to my program, first thing I tell them is, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Because maybe this is not the program for you. You know, if you think it's going to be a cakewalk in this program, I'm tough. And what people don't know on the outside is there's kids that transferred to my program and then transferred out because it was like, oh man, this Coach Bauer is too tough, or he's too mean, or whatever. And that's okay. I got nothing but love for him, you know, because it's not for everybody. But if it was easy, anybody would do it, right? We say that all the time. This is not a forgiving sport, man. This is a blue-collar sport.
Absolutely.
That's why I know the kids, like in any sport, but I'm biased to wrestling because wrestling, like I said, I'll repeat it probably many times, that wrestling saved my life. But these kids need some tough sports. They need to compete. They need to be involved. They need to know that they're responsible for all their successes. All they got to do is believe in themselves and believe in the process, and have somebody that cares about them, that's going to mentor them, and then be there for them, whether they, win or lose. Like I tell the parents, there's rules I give my parents, and I was like, let me be the professional a-hole, if you will. I tell them, all I want you to do is hug your kids, Tell them they did a good job, no matter what happens in the match. Don't make excuses. Don't say you were better than them. You should have did this. You should have did that. No, hug them. Good job, kiddo. You did your best out there. I will be the one to give that constructive feedback.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so, but you can see how I get a little passionate, man, when I talk about it, man, because, man, I've been doing this so long, and again, it's so gratifying to see these kids succeed, and ones that didn't even know that they were going to end up going to college to wrestle. They thought they were just doing it because their parents made them do it or whatever. Next thing you know, they're phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and it's so funny to, have the opportunity to work with a young man, work with a young woman, and to see them, a kid maybe, the great thing, like you said about wrestling, every body type is allowed. Every type is encouraged. Every height, every, long torso, short torso, long arms, short arms, long legs, short legs, one leg longer than the other. Okay, you're blind in one eye, cool. You don't need that anyway. Just go.
You could be blind in both eyes and still.
That's right. Go with that knee. Just go with that available knee. All right. There was a young man, a college wrestler, a few years back, and I don't think he was at University of Iowa. The young man had one leg.
Arizona State, Anthony Robles.
Yes. And the kid I remember seeing clips of him, and he did like 60 pull-ups or something, hands facing away, all the way down. And I'm sitting here like, that kid is a monster.
Yeah.
And he, and one leg, when we're talking about, just as we're running down the body types, and I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, like you said, you don't need to see. I mean, it's a circle. They're going to put you back. They're going to take you with your, your green or your red, a little bracelet and anklet, and we're going to put you on the line. And hey, kid, you want top, bottom, or neutral? And we're going to go from there. Figure it out. So now, Coach, what are the demographics of your team, and do they differ at all from the demographics at Corona High School?
Well, our demographics at the school, we're about I'm gonna say, the last time I looked at it, we were like about 60% Hispanic, 65% Hispanic, about 20-some% Caucasian, and the rest is African American, white, and other. All right. My team, on the other hand, is so diverse.
Okay.
We have everything. I tell them I'm an equal opportunity coach, and that's what makes it so amazing, because remember I was saying earlier, everybody has a story, right?
Yes.
And because of our success, knock on wood, our success, kids want to come to my program. Mm-hmm. And they want to see what it's about. They want to train, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't care if they say they're good or they're not good or whatever. That's why I tell them, what are your goals?
Yes.
Because if you just want to be part of this team, then it's probably not the place to be. You can be here, but you're not going to be successful if you're not trying to achieve anything. Mm. But we're so diverse. We have every nationality that you have. I mean, I have the one girl on my team. She looked Caucasian, and then I didn't realize she's Peruvian. Next thing you know, I hear her speaking Spanish, and I'm like, "What the heck is going on?" I thought she was just one of the white girls on our team. But we have it's so diverse and so many different ethnic backgrounds, so many different economic backgrounds. Yes. But it doesn't even matter, because when you see these kids interact with each other, and this is like one of the big rules that I have, right? I don't like cliques. I don't like, controversy. And if you're here about controversy, you can get out. Yes. I don't care if you come to my room and you're a state champion. I don't even matter. Yeah. Bounce, because it becomes viral, and I truly believe it's a sisterhood. I posted on our social media that we're a sisterhood that takes care of each other. And these girls, man, like I've had some great teams over my years. I mean, very good, competitive studs, you know. And one of them, one of our most decorated athletes, Suhei Seha, she's just became, you know, says she was NCAA finalist this year.
Wow.
And she was a 4-time state placer from us, you know. And she comes in the room and she takes control, you know. She's one of those kids. And
Yeah.
when I tell them I like, and she's from a different background than many of the girls that are in there. So it's just awesome to see them all come together and gel together and understand that, you know, there's a saying that we say and people don't understand it until I explain it, but it's our saying is we say we stand alone together. Yes. Right? So yes. we're one unit together, but we stand alone. And I tell my kids all the time, you know, it's lonely at the top, right? We're successful year after year after year. And because of that, you know, a lot of people don't want to be our friends. And that's okay. Because we have, you have your 40 sisters in the room, you know, that are going to be there for each other. You've seen us at tournaments. We roll deep. Oh, yeah. You know, and we're there. And they're there.
Like a whole section of the bleachers.
Right. But they're there for each other, you know, and they help each other. And just like typical sisters, I tell them, yeah, man, you guys are going to argue. You guys are going to get on each other's nerves. You guys are going to get mad at each other. You're going to love each other. But what happens? That's what sisters do. That's how you know you're real sisters. You don't have to be fake. But when we get in the room together and we're training, man, I'll tell you, like I said, I've had some phenomenal teams. This year, for example, is probably one of my toughest squads that I have right now. And that's why I can't wait for them to get out there. And I know they need it. And our AD, like our AD at our school, knows it too. And he's all for it. And I know many of the ADs, they want kids to compete, you know, and wrestling, man, I said, I don't care how they do it, man. I don't care about these preseason tournaments or anything like that. All I care about is for these girls to be able to have league finals, CIF, Masters State. Because that's how they're getting recognized, you know, by these colleges. Even though I got college coaches calling many of my girls right now, you know, because I have a lot of seniors this year. And I got a lot of underclassmen too, but like my seniors that are ready to, you know, get this 2020 out of the way, compete for 2021. But yeah, we're so diverse and we're that big time dysfunctional family that is all there for each other. Like, I don't know if you've seen it on our social media, on our Instagram rather. I posted on Facebook too, but all the little things that they're doing together, you know, because we didn't have homecoming this year, the girls made their own homecoming. You know, they had on Halloween, they had a pumpkin carving party, you know, so they did that. And then they recently they did a Christmas Santa exchange, secret Santa exchange. Nice. You know, so I appreciate that, man. These girls are really taking control of it and not letting all this other stuff phase them, because again, they're treating it like I was saying earlier, this is their sanctuary. And it's good. I try to follow all these other schools, everything, see what they're doing and these other clubs, you know, and I'm glad that people are keeping busy to prepare, because before you know it, hopefully you know, once they open these doors, man, I just hope these kids have been training, because I know that my girls have been working hard on their own and doing what they got to do, and they're going to be ready. So I'm hoping that these other schools are too, because we need it, you know.
Hold on one second, Coach. We're going to end here part 1 of our audio with Coach Jim Bowers of Corona High School. It's Corona High School, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yeah, and just check.
The
Corona High School. We'll be right back with part 2. Coach Jim Bowers here on I Represent the 2%. Okay, that first part is okay. We're still recording on the video.
Okay.
But I was just doing that for the audio. that's going to go, and then I'm going to press again to get started. The second thing. I don't know how long that's.
Technology at its finest, right?
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you do, two things at once. So I'm recording the podcast on Anchor, and I'm recording this using the Zoom link. So
Right.
so
That's what I like about these. You can record your meetings,
Yeah.
I love it.
Great.
I love it.
Right. Well, I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna lead into that. We come back to the audio. I think I'm gonna lead into that diamond story
Okay.
next. And then, I definitely want to hear some more about, where, some of your kids have gone after,
Yeah.
after their high school career. I'm sure you're in contact with
all of them. Yeah.
Over all these years. I mean, I get stuff. I got a guy that went in the Navy, ran track for me at Locke High School in 2005, and he was in the Navy. He was in Dubai, and sent me a picture from, I don't know what floor he was on, but all you could see was SEA. I was like, man, look at you, dude, from Watts, from South Central LA.
Yeah.
To the Mediterranean Sea, and at the top of this hotel in an ocean, in the like grounded in the water. Come on, processing. And but it just it's so wonderful. And one of the things that I'm doing with the podcast. Okay, it's ready. Okay, hold on. Let me start that next one up. And boom, we are back. Episode 2, or part 2, I apologize, with Coach Jim Bowers of Corona High School, head women's wrestling coach. Been on campus there, coaching men's and women's wrestling 30 years, 1990, giving everything he has to these young people, building young men and women in the city of Corona, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all physical attribute backgrounds, all demographic backgrounds, ethnicities, and just talking about a young lady from Peru that looked like one of our regular old American white kids, and then she was Spanish and doing all of her other things. Well, Coach, I wanted to when we met. It was fun. I had a short tenure as a wrestling coach. My wrestling background was as a body fat and hydration specialist. We opened Eastside High School in 2005, and the CIF had decided that we'd had a couple of athletes lost in the college wrestling due to the extreme measures, the weight loss and make weight and those kind of things. They say, we can do this. We have to have certified body fat and hydration people to check the kids in, make sure that they're eating, that they're not going through these extreme measures to lose weight, to make weight, just so they can compete. And so for 12 years, I was the P guy, and like I go to the mall, and kids recognize me, and I'm like, who are you? And then they're like, well, but I know you. And I'm like, well, where do you know me from? And I said, well, did you go to this high school? And they're like, no. I'm like, where'd you go to high school? And they're like, oh, I went over there. I said, take your clothes off. They're like, oh, you're the P guy. Because initially, especially that first year, we didn't have, the first year for me, 2005, I'm sorry, spring of, no, it's winter sport. So fall of 05, there weren't the clothing requirements, it wasn't in there. So a couple of the guys' programs, and I won't say which ones, You know, they were like, no, go all the way down, you know, strip down to your birthday.
Yeah.
Hey man, I don't want to see your junk. You know,
Hey, back in my day, we didn't have hydration, but when we got on the scale, you were able to get on the scale butt naked. You know what I mean? Nobody, it was like the norm. That's just the way it was. So, but I'm glad they do the hydration now because, you know, like for example, when I was in high school, especially when I first started, man, I didn't know how to cut weight or anything like that. I didn't even know, you know, I didn't know. But I cut weight pretty bad. There was a couple of times I even got sick because I didn't know. So I'm glad that they have that now. So.
It's so funny, man. I'm sitting here. I mean, in track, you know, now, I mean, since 94, I've coached track and field. I was coaching 94, track and field and football. And so for the first 10 years, it was, you know, fall, spring, summer, you know, just boom, football, track. And then then I left one school, went to another, and it became cross country and track. And I backed off the football because you know, my daughter was, you know, born, first daughter was born. And so it's like, okay, I don't have 4 hours a night plus Saturday film right down on the weekends. I'm like, okay, I can't do all that. I need to be able to go to a park, run a women's race, run a men's race, and go home. So anyway, we get going, man, and you know, we're out there, and they said, well, we need a guy, and I said, okay, well, you know, I'll go down to. We went down to Cerritos High School, and I'm looking at the guy's name. I can't call it, you know, the first the guy that head up the program for all those years. And so I did it for, you know, 10, 11 years, 05 to 16. And 17, we had an issue with some adults on campus, and we had to make a change. And a couple of kids come to me, and the young lady who I had coached both of her brothers at the same school in track, she says, no, and I only knew this girl. She's a cheerleader. She's a bright, bubbly personality, and I had seen her act on stage in a play, and I'd seen her, you know, doing, you know, 6 o'clocks and, you know, candlesticks and daggers and all that cheer stuff. And then she's talking about wrestling, and I'm like, look, man, I can't even spell wrestling. What are you talking about? So we, you know, it was a great opportunity, and my wife and I have a say yes policy. Don't tell anybody, but we have a say yes policy, and so it worked out, and we got started. Fortunately, one of our guys, he was a CIF placer in 2011. Tim is an Army Ranger, and he was coming home before he was going back to Germany for, you know, a couple of weeks in the winter break. And I was like, Tim, I needed you to stop by and, you know, and do this for a minute. Just show me a couple of things. Tell me what I need to do every day, and I'll do it. I promise you. It's like, okay, cool. So Tim gives me a little hookup, and Diamond, you know, had a little situation. She's the young lady. I'm sorry, those of you that aren't watching my hands move. She's the young lady who's the third kid for me to, you know, that I coached at that school from the Guilford family, and she happened to be pretty good going into the season, and I was a little concerned because I'm like, hey man, wait a minute, this chick is ranked number 2 in the state, and you're trying to, you know, you want me, a dude with no experience. He's like, well, we got a travel coach. We're going to be working this thing out. And I said, okay. I said, okay. So you want me to, you know, kind of manage the situation more so than a trainer like in boxing. You want me to be the manager, and, you know, this person's going to be a trainer. I'm going to work the team, but they're going to work their little thing on the side. I'm like, okay, I can get with that. Cool. That's cool. No problem. Been there before in track, you know. And we fooled around, and we had won X number of matches. I think it was in the low 20s at the time, and hadn't lost that season. And we get to the CIF, we get to the Masters meet. For those of you unfamiliar with wrestling, that's basically the semifinals for the region, and we lose. everybody, we're shocked. The girl that beat us isn't shocked, but we're kind of shocked. And I told the young lady, I said, hey, the hardest part about this loss is not the fact that you lost. I mean, your season isn't over. The colleges that were recruiting you are still recruiting you. And, but it's going to be this long walk through the stadium back up to your dad, to sit down with him and then you can cry on his shoulder. And so we got through that, and I kind of consoled her a little bit. And then we take 2 steps and turn around, and here's that crazy bald coach from Corona hollering and screaming all the time. And I'm like, we'd never even shaken hands at that point. And I just knew you from the mat. And and you stopped us, and you stopped Diamond specifically, and you said something to her, Coach. Run that back for me real quick.
Well, I told her she don't need to be worried about anything, that she's Diamond Guilford, period. And she's gonna come back, and I knew she was something special. We all knew us as coaches. Any coaches that know even a little bit knew who this girl was, because one, I saw that she was happy doing what she was doing, right? You could tell she puts in the work. You could tell that she is has a great spirit, great positive spirit. And I didn't want her to think that, because a lot of these kids, they put a lot of pressure on themselves, like I have to win all the time, or if I don't, I suck. And they don't. But I've been watching her, and that's why I had to. I'm one of those coaches that I have to say something. I have to bring those kids up and say, hey, man, don't even worry about it. It's just okay, so you tripped, whatever.
Yes.
Get back up, dust it off, and get back in the game. And that's exactly what she did when she went to the state championships the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I said it off camera earlier, but I wanted to, reiterate this again and just say, Coach, I thank you so much for that, because you renewed my faith in other coaches. You and I both over the years have seen, abuses and, problems and, drama. And, that's how I came into being in that situation in the first place.
Yeah.
Bringing some steadiness to, a wild little situation. But I just wanted to, thank you here publicly, for that, because, I'm sitting here, I'm putting that pressure on me, like, oh man, don't mess this up, don't mess this girl Scully out. And I, of course, had kids, and I was like, this is not it. But in the first part, and for the audio, in the first half hour, you were talking about, just some of the kids, and, sometimes when they come back, you have, NC2A finalist, and, coming back to your gym, and, just running practice when she shows up. Can you tell us about some of your other, graduates and what they've done, not only at the college level, but if they didn't wrestle in college, the skills and the discipline that they learned in your program, where they've taken it and applied it, and come back giving you some of that. Thank you so much, Coach.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned about the ones that don't even compete in college. I'm okay with that. I tell them, bottom line is, go to college. And what I teach them is, what I'm telling them, that what wrestling is going to do, it's going to teach you discipline. It's going to teach you integrity. It's going to teach you respect. It's going to teach you to overcome obstacles when they're not easy to achieve, when you're trying to achieve a goal and it's not easy. So you got to get up and you got to keep going. So I even tell many of my kids that come out of my program, that I say, are you going to wrestle in college? And I tell them, it's okay to tell me no. Just go to college. Yeah. I had one that went to the military. One of my very first girls I had at Corona, super sensitive, super soft. I would barely teach her move hand fighting. She'd fall down because she freaked out, right? And I was like, what's wrong with you? She was a freshman, right? Till this, right now, Coach, this girl's a staff sergeant in the Marines.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, she's phenomenal. But she would have never thought that. She was like, I would have never thought that I would end up being in this shape. I remember when she first got to the Marines, she was wrestling tournaments.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if you follow our Lady Panther Wrestling on Instagram, but during the first part of COVID, I put out their request of who wants to see any of my girls get interviewed, right? And I thought it was a great opportunity because many of my wrestlers got to tell their story, like raw story, because there's always misconceptions. They don't know what really goes on on our team and how girls end up in our program, right? There's people's perceptions, but nobody really knows. So it was good to have our girls out there. So, it's phenomenal just to see how raw and how emotional some of them got when they're talking about it, But I just want the kids that come in our program to understand that wrestling is teaching you life lessons, just like many other sports. But of course, I'm more biased to wrestling, even though I played other sports, is because, again, it saved my life, So it's going to teach you life lessons, and things are not going to be easy. But there's no, I'm not taking away from any other sport, but there's no sport like wrestling. It's the longest sport in the world, So, and I'm just glad that we had opportunity for, especially the women's side, to break barriers, break ceilings, and achieve things that are making people open their eyes. And we've been blessed. So I tell these kids, man, I don't care, do something with your life. If you want to be a nurse, you don't want to wrestle in college, be a nurse. You want to be a Marine, be a Marine. You whatever you decide you want to be the best at it. Whatever you decide you're going to be. If you don't even want to go to college, you want to be whatever vocational thing you want to do, be the best at it.
That's right.
There's nothing saying that, you have to go to college. You should, okay? But there's nothing saying that if you don't go to college, you're not going to be successful. It all depends on you. And me, I didn't know that. All these things that I teach all these kids are life lessons that I learned the hard way back to when I was homeless for a few years, right? Nobody knew that, but I would tell kids, man, I don't care. Dust that off. Get it together. You can make it happen, because a lot of them don't know my story. A lot of my kids do, because when I tell them the raw truth about being successful in life, it's not always going to be, to take the yellow brick road to the promised land, right? It's not always going to happen that way. You're going to have all these things, all these obstacles that tell you you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
I had family tell me I wasn't going to make it back in the day before I even got my degree, So, but it happens. I forgive them. I love them, but I'll tell you, when it makes it all worth it, Coach, is when a couple years ago, one of my most memorable kids I had when I was I think I was a junior in college, and I was helping out coaching at my alma mater, which is Mountain View High School in El Monte. And I had this kid that was known as like the bully, right? Punk kids for their money and all this other stuff. And I pulled him to the side and gave him coming to Jesus, brought him in my wrestling room. And this kid had like 4 or 5 Fs, right? Wasn't going to graduate, didn't care. He figured he'll sling his little side business that he was doing on the side, on campus and off campus. Man, 2 years ago, make a long story short, he graduates. He graduates.
When did he graduate? What year was it?
He graduated like 91.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Way back. All right, guys.
Calls me like a few years ago, or messages me on Facebook, finds me, right? Now, granted, he's like, 40 something or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, this, he called me and he said, Coach, I just want to tell you, thank you. I never got an opportunity to thank you for changing my life. I have a family now. I got my degree, and I'm just like, like I said, maybe it's my old age, but I got teary-eyed and I was like, that makes it all worth it. I was just happy enough that he graduated high school. I remember this is a kid where his mom used to call me, and I remember distinctly, mom used to call me and say, Coach, could you wake him up and tell him he needs to go to school because he don't want to go to school? And I was like, I'm not his dad.
Yeah.
I'm just his coach. Yeah, but he's scared of you. He's going to listen to you. So I get on the phone, I chew him out. He gets up, goes to school. I mean, this is a kid where I took him to his first tournament.
Mhm.
Like I said, I can make a movie out of this kid. He went to his first tournament and he wanted to fight the kid because he was losing, and I had to pick him up and take him away. But he was my most memorable kid. He had my full heart because I didn't want to fail this kid. You know what I mean? I didn't want to see him fail. I didn't want to see him on the wrong path. So when he called me or messaged me on Facebook and said, wow, I just want to tell you thank you. I never got an opportunity to thank you. And man, those are why I do what I do.
Yes.
Yes. And that's what matters to me is the success of these kids, put them on the right path. And they don't always have to be happy with me or happy how I do things, whatever, but I will not let them fail. As long as they're part of my program and they're part of my life and they enter my wrestling family, yes, I cannot let them fail. And I tell them specifically, it's not about, when I say fail, not about wins and losses. Yeah. It's about what are you going to do with your life, right. Because there is a life after wrestling. Your life might be wrestling. like me now. There's a reason why I got laid off in the corporate world and now I'm coaching wrestling full time. There's a reason why that happened. Yeah, I'm 50 years old. It makes my life a little easier. I'm not working 14-hour days like I did in the corporate world, but these kids, are my life next to my family. They are my family. They're my wrestling family. And yes, because they know what I put into it, I think that's why they do whatever they can to make me proud, even though it's not even about me. I've heard it so many times from my girls saying, Coach, I want to do it for you. I want to do it for you. You don't need to do it for me. Do it for you. That's right. They are what matters. I'm just one of the people in the village that help raise these wrestlers. That's right. So. Well, Coach, we got about 10 minutes left, and I want to ask you. I want to ask for your opinion on two, and you touched on it earlier when you're saying that, the kids need discipline, they need to, have people be, tough on them, tough, with them, which is preparation for, their life. Yeah. But, and not but, I don't want to put a big but in the way. There's a place for big butts, but it's not right there. So, so. Well, if it's anything, I like big butts, and I cannot lie. Well, here's another brother, and he can't deny either. So anyway, okay. So that's funny, man. That's good stuff. So tell me, I mean, for your city, for our, nation, what's one, if you could have one characteristic implemented from your program to each and every classroom across the nation, what would it be, and why do you think that it's the foundational characteristic that you would like to see spread throughout? Honestly, it can't really say it in one word, but I'll give you two. Is hard work and integrity. Those are two big things, that you need to have in anything to be successful, period. Nothing's easy. Nothing's easy. If you want to achieve higher goals, you have to put in hard work. And going back to, like, we're talking about Diamond, right? And this girl put in some hard work. Yeah. She only wrestled 2 years. Yeah. Right? But look at her now. She's on the international stage. And yet you still see her, just like I was saying earlier, you see her smiling. You see her happy. Yeah. You see, I mean, that warms my heart, when I see that. And when I deal with my kids in my room, I'm always talking about hard work, man. I'm gonna teach you to have fun working hard. Yes. Yes. But our integrity is earned. The respect that we have is earned, and if nobody can take that away from you, they don't have to believe you. But that's on them.
That's
But
right.
this is about how you represent yourself, and you just gotta, do right by yourself and by the company you keep, which is our team, right? And that's why I'm really hard on my kids about that, because I want them uh, like that. So those are the two biggest things, is hard work. If you want to be successful, prove it by the work that you put in, and then, be a person of integrity. And sometimes you have to be brutally honest where people are going to get their feelings hurt. But you know what? I want my friends to tell me, hey, Bowers, you're acting like an asshole right now. Okay, I apologize. But
Mhm.
like I said earlier, I tell my parents straight out, I am a professional asshole.
Yes.
There's a reason why I was successful in business. There's
Yeah.
a reason why I'm successful in wrestling,
That's right.
because I have to be professional at the end of the day. But you will only see me one way, and I got to be honest with you. Sometimes they don't want to hear the truth,
Yeah.
but I have to be honest and say how it is. And the way I am is not for everybody, just like for any other kids. There's a fit for everybody. That's why when these kids end up coming to my program, right,
Mhm.
from all these different schools, and they end up coming, is because they want to see how it is. They all had a story, right? There's a reason
Yeah.
why they left.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not because of me. It's not because I'm saying, hey, come here. They're coming because they're trying to find what their love of whatever whatever their sport they have. In
Sure.
my case, it's wrestling, right?
Sure.
They come here because they want to be with the best. They want to see this crazy coach Bowers that is all over the damn place. Parents have even come to me, coach, and said, we didn't really know how you were. We were a little timid, a little scared, but we see how you are with these kids.
Yeah.
And I love it. I would have never had it another other way.
Yeah.
I've even had parents apologize to me for things that they had said without knowing me,
Oh, sure. Of
that they
course.
had said about me because of the company they kept, So they got to know me and said, and I didn't know that, but I know people say things, but
Sure.
I was like, you know what? I don't care, man. I'm a man of God, and that's the only guy I fear. So I understand it. Sometimes the company we keep, we tend to get a perception of people, but man, the way I see it is everybody's going to show their true self when adversity is in their face, right?
That's right.
That's when your true colors show. And I grew up with adversity, from family to friends to, but the one common denominator that always gave me what I needed, which was my self confidence and control, was wrestling. And that's what I'm going to give back to these awesome kids, man, because they deserve it.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I believe they need. I mean, I believe that in any sport is you got to be true to yourself. You got to be hardworking. You got to have integrity, and those are my biggest things.
That's right. Well, Coach, I really want to thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been great, and it's been inspirational to be with you and have this time. This is the most time we've had, alone, right? I mean, in passing, I mean, and certainly on social media over the last better part of 10 months, we've probably seen a lot more of each other than we ever thought we would. But, it's been, really, again, I just want to thank you for not only this time, but for, the first exchange that we, ever had, and for, not only the nuggets that you dropped on Diamond that day, but the consistent drop of water that you've been in that community, in the city of Corona, for the wrestlers there, for the young men, the young women, and all of the families and all of the great nephews and godchildren that you've, um, had some impact on, and the long-lasting ripple that will go well beyond, this conversation, well beyond this 2020, 2021 school year season, God willing. And just want to, extend that again, one coach to another, and just appreciate you, while we have the opportunity, man. I mean,
Yes, sir.
we're men of faith, and my Uncle Simeon, and I want to dedicate this episode to him today. My great Uncle Simeon in Nevada, he passed away last night. 100 years and
Oh, wow.
and 15 days he lived. And
Amazing.
and I was sitting here, and they were like, "Oh, well, he had a party and this, that, and the other," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, we got a pandemic and everything, but how many times you gonna turn 100?" And I mean, everybody was masked up, but I mean, anytime in the last 20 years, he could have taken a deep breath at night and been like, "Yeah, I'm
Right.
here," So
God kept him around for a reason, brother.
absolutely, yeah.
No doubt.
So, so again, Coach, thank you so much, and you got 35 seconds, Coach. Tell me what's going to happen with these Rams.
First they got to get their head out of their ass. When we lose to the Jets, hey, I rather, if they're going to take a loss now, let's get to the playoffs, and then they got to recover, man, because they're killing me. If I didn't have any hair, I would have lost it all over again. But hey, I want to thank you for having me here to be able to talk about. I love to brag about my team, not even about myself, but I just like to brag about these kids and what they deserve to have. And I appreciate that you create this kind of forum to be able to do stuff like that, man. And you're blessed, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words. I'm going to end the audio first, and if you hold on for 1 second. This is episode, I keep saying episode, this is part 2 with Coach Jim Bowers, Corona High School women's wrestling, the last 30 years. Yes. So tell me your Instagram one more time.
Our Instagram is Lady Panther Wrestling.
Perfect.
Yep. And then on Facebook, it's Corona Lady Panthers Wrestling.
Okay. Yeah, we got the we'll have that on for the video. Let me go to full screen here. Okay, fantastic. And we'll get that, I'll put those links in the thing. Hold on, let me just say. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everybody, and we'll get this out in City of Corona. Man, you got a winner here. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Stay loose.